and welcome back to the Better Half Hour. All right, my favorite segment when we bring you veteran specialists in the sports betting space. You've seen him on this show. You've seen him on the Betting Exchange. Around here, he's known as Alex Glaze, the AA batteries they call us. Alex, great to be with you again, my friend.
Thanks for having me on.
Best background in the game, too. All right, let's talk some college football. I know you love this sport. It is time for championship weekend here in conference play. Let's start out in the Pac-12. 38-7, Utah crushes Oregon. -3 line in that game. It's now -2.5. Are you shocked at the line? Which way are you looking in this one?
Yeah, it is a little surprising. These are two teams that just played 2 weeks ago. So what's changed in 2 weeks? I don't think a whole lot. Utah, the more physical team, pushed Oregon around in that first matchup, and I expect more of the same in this game. My best play for the game, though, is probably the under. It was 59.5 earlier today. It's dropped down to 58.5 now. I just don't see 60 points in this game, especially when you look at what Utah did to win the game the first time. They just ran the ball 50 times, averaged 4.2 yards per carry, and I expect more of the same, and that's just the perfect recipe for an under when you just keep the ball on the ground and keep that clock running.
I hear you. Okay, so now let's talk about the game of the weekend. We got Alabama. We got Georgia. It's been a while. I'm going to talk about it more later in the show since Bama was an underdog. We're talking years plural. They go in as 6.5-point dogs against the Bulldogs, Alex. Pressure's on who, and is this a sharp side play going with the Crimson Tide?
Well, the pressure is definitely on Alabama, and I definitely see a lot of value in the 6.5 points with Alabama right now. Georgia is in the college football playoff regardless of what happens on Saturday, right? Alabama needs to win this game probably to have a chance to be in the playoff. They would need complete chaos to happen if that weren't the case. But, Alabama, you look at them, they're a top 10 team in total offense, top 10 in total defense, 5th in scoring offense in college football. Like this is a complete team. Georgia has not faced a team like Alabama this year. So if you're giving me 6.5 points, Georgia, not really a lot to play for. Alabama, everything to play for. I'm going to take the points and go with the hungrier team.
All right, let's say Bama loses, Alex, and Georgia takes care of business. What would have to happen for Bama to be in? Can the committee even allow a 2-loss Alabama squad into the Final Four? I know you just alluded to it briefly, but can you expand on it?
Yeah, you would need complete chaos. I'm talking like complete chaos. You would need Iowa to beat Michigan. You would need Cincinnati to lose to Houston. Oklahoma would have to lose to Baylor. Like you would need just 3 of those top 5 teams to just go down if Alabama were to get in as a 2-loss team. Because, I mean, the committee would love to have 2 SEC teams in this thing. But the fact of the matter is you have Notre Dame sitting there with 1 loss. They're not going to be playing a conference championship. And then you got to consider, Cincinnati, is that 1 loss? Is that enough to knock them out? Probably. And then you got 2 Big Ten teams. I mean, there's just a lot to consider. But for us to even get there, if Bama were to lose, complete chaos would have to happen for there to even be a consideration.
I don't know. There's a lot of money going down on these playoffs, Alex. You never know. Bama out is not good for business. Okay, let's shift to the NFL. We're talking your Baltimore Ravens coming off a just classic AFC North physical battle against the Browns. Steelers off their worst loss since 2016. Lines around 3.5, 4. Ravens have covered 7 of their last 9 against AFC North opponents. Which way you leaning on this one? Of course, in Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh took 2 from Baltimore last year, if you remember. Right.
I'd probably pocket the 4 points. Right now, that's the way I'm leaning today. It's kind of tough to call, though, because TJ Watt is out. He's on the COVID list for the Steelers. That's a big loss for them. That Steelers defense has not been the same when he's not out there putting pressure on the quarterback. So that's definitely something to consider. But when you look at what happened this past weekend, Ben Roethlisberger and that Steelers offense could not have played worse, right? The Ravens, they got the win, but they played terrible on offense. Lamar threw 4 interceptions, and somehow the Ravens still ended up winning the game. So I just look at this Ravens-Steelers matchup usually is all about the defenses anyway, but both offenses really, really have been struggling lately. So if in a low-scoring game, conference game, I'm going to pocket the points.
All right, let's talk about tomorrow night. We got the Cowboys on the road at the Saints. They've dropped 2 straight. They are, though, 6-0 against the spread, against the NFC. That includes their loss week 1 to the Bucs. Do you factor that in against the Saints team that's dropped 4 straight?
Yeah, that's an interesting trend, but not something that I personally really consider when I'm looking at what decision I'm going to make here. But what I'm looking at in this game is health. And, you know, the Cowboys, it's sounding like they're going to get CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper back, which would be huge for that Cowboys offense, which has really been struggling without those guys there. And then on the other side, you look at the Saints. They're just not the same team that we're used to seeing over the past couple of years. We're going to have Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill playing quarterback. Saints offense just missing some pop there. Bottom third of the league in total offense and average just over 23 points per game. So not expecting a whole lot from the Saints on Thursday.
All right, the Chiefs somehow, Alex, are double-digit favorites against the Broncos here. You've seen what they've done against the spread, 3-7 on the year, 1-4 at home. Broncos just made a mockery of the Chargers in Mile High. I know it's in Arrowhead, coming off a bye, of course. Andy Reid off a bye, pretty lucrative. But do they deserve to be double-digit favorites? Which way are you looking in that before you get you out of here?
That's an interesting question because we've seen how dominant underdogs have been this year, right? It's early, but when I look at this, I'm looking at the tickets and the money, and it's pretty split right now on the Broncos and Chiefs, which tells me that this is probably the right play and that the Chiefs are probably going to smoke the Broncos because usually when you see these double digits, you see the public all on one side, hammering one team. When it's split, usually that favorite, there's something there. So I probably lean Chiefs in this one.
All right, I appreciate it as always. Alex Glaze dropping the knowledge. When I return, I'm talking about all the important college football championship games this weekend. You can't miss it. We'll be right back on the Better Half Hour.